Good morning, everybody. Everything new under the sun. Taking a look at Revelation 6 today, and got a couple of articles which I believe could very well be the lead up to what is eventually going to be fulfilled in Revelation 6. And I think Revelation 6 is very, very close to fulfillment. I think we're months away at this point, really from the triggering, the breaking of the seals, specifically, like I say, in Revelation 6, seals 1 through 4, and then heading into the fifth seal. And this is getting close to the wrath of God and the midpoint of the 7-year period. Revelation 6, and I saw the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it was the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, "Come and see." And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him. And he went forth conquering and to conquer. Now, it's not lost on me, obviously, the name of the coronavirus, corona, is another word for crown, so something to think about. I don't think that's the direct definition of that verse, but just one of those interesting parallels. Verse number 3, and when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, "Come and see." And there went out another horse that was red, and power, now that's interesting, red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. Verse number 5, and when he had opened the third seal, remember this is the four horsemen of the apocalypse, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. This is related to the famine. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, "A measure of wheat for a penny, 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see that thou not hurt the oil and the wine." Now, a measure of wheat was the amount of food that someone would require in terms of wheat for a day to eat. So for 3 square meals, if you'd consider it that way, for a penny, and a penny was a day's wages. So it costs a day's wages just to get your food, not to pay your rent, not to pay your electricity or your heating bill, but just to buy your food for the day would take a day's wages. That's what a measure of wheat for a penny means. So wars, rumors of wars, pestilence, famine, these are all described here. Verse number 7, and when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the fourth beast say, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth to kill with sword, with hunger, and with the death, and with beasts of the earth. Just closing my door there. And so the kill with the sword. So there's going to be conventional weapons used to kill with sword. And here we have famine, hunger, and with death. So somehow people are dying abnormally. That's just not a normal death that people are dying. And this is part of the pestilence. And with the beasts of the earth, you talk about these viruses coming, say, from monkeys like Ebola and such, and wild animals from bats. COVID apparently came from bats, right? Originated there. And then I suspect there was some weaponization of that done in maybe a Wuhan lab, maybe. Lots of evidence and intelligence agencies believe that. But ultimately, it came from a bat population. And so the beasts of the earth are causing this trouble to mankind. And then we get into the fifth seal. And again, it says, when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them which were slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, "How long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth?" So the wrath of God has not come yet. In the first 4 seals, the wrath of God, and even in the fifth seal, the wrath of God is not there yet. Why? Why do we know that? Because the saints are saying, "O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood?" The Lord hasn't avenged their blood yet. He has not brought his wrath. So the seals of Revelation 6 can't be the wrath of God. We're not going to be here for the wrath of God. I believe we will be here for some tribulation, and I believe what we're seeing with COVID and the run-up to Gog Magog and other such things happening in this world are part of the 4 seals, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. I think There will be Christians. Apparently, there's going to be Christians, Christ followers around during this period. So quickly over to some of the specific articles here, which I want to discuss. Let's hide a keynote there. This is out of Russia. Now, you talk about the pestilence is coming. COVID is nothing compared to what's coming. It's just a ramp up. It's just a warning. It's just a shot across the bow. It says, it's just pretty much God saying to the Christians, beware, this stuff is coming. Here's one to get you ready for it. Here's one to put it on your radar. And same with the earth. Here's one to put something on your radar. Pay attention. God is in control, and worse stuff is going to come. This is just a warning signal that the COVID is. And more is coming. Russian scientists are probing prehistoric viruses emerging from Siberian permafrost. So because of the so-called climate change, I believe the Earth is warming. That's because it got cold after the flood of Noah, when the ice canopy broke up and floated down because of the magnetism around the poles, and caused the ice age, and so. Sorry, the ice age caused by the frozen water canopy. And so it's been warming up ever since, back to what it was. It was very, very warm before the flood of Noah. It was a greenhouse effect there. So the Earth was a lot warmer in the recent past. About 4,000 years ago, it was a lot warmer all the way around. It was tropical weather all the way around the Earth, even at the poles. It's only at the poles, like I say, or at the flood of Noah, that the ice age started. And so, yes, we're warming up, not necessarily due to man-made climate change, but it's certainly warming up. And so you have these viruses. These may not be troublesome to us if we had seen them all along and if our bodies were used to them and we saw them every year. But because these are brand new, net new, our bodies don't have the immune system isn't capable or hasn't seen these viruses before. They could wreak havoc across the world, and with our global travel, and the connectivity and just how many people there are, this sort of stuff can spread very quickly, as we see with COVID. And so they're probing these prehistoric Siberian permafrost mammoths and such for viruses. This nothing bad can come out of this, of course. Russian state laboratory Vector on Tuesday announced it was launching research, quote unquote, into prehistoric viruses by analyzing the remains of animals recovered from the melted permafrost. As the world warms up, all these viruses are going to come to life again, effectively. And I think this is what's spoken of in Revelation 6, the four horsemen of the apocalypse. You have things like these. Russia is also trying to weaponize Ebola. There was a news article I did prior. And how many other countries are trying to, what is China trying to do in their Wuhan virus lab? Are they trying to weaponize any other virus? And what will the variants of COVID bring? I think these will all converge, and I think you ain't seen nothing yet. 2021 is going to be worse than 2020. The shock and awe will continue, and we're seeing shock and awe. Look at Texas, just unprecedented things happening there. And these, like I say, these pestilences are going to come, and Russia's apparently working towards it. All right, to other news, so stay tuned for what's going to come out of this. Incredible. The research collaboration with the University of Yakutsk began with the analysis of tissues extracted from a prehistoric horse believed to be at least 4,500 years old. So that's maybe a pre-flood horse if their dating is accurate there. But anyways, pulling viruses out of the frozen tundra. It can't be good. Over to this one. Now theendbegins.com. Emmanuel Macron positions France as ally between Israel, Egypt, and United Arab Emirates in hopes of assuming lead in the Abraham Accords. So again, what you have here is Emmanuel Macron. He is looking to be the leader in world peace initiatives and looking to be the broker of peace, him and France apparently, between Israel and the other nations. Again, you have leaders who are looking to become a world leader, looking to be on the world stage, wanting to broker peace. And this Emmanuel Macron, he keeps popping up. He continually pops up, and somehow he's still in power. He's hated by many of people in France, but he's still in power. And this is just one of these people that you look at and say, is this the Antichrist figure? Is this the world leader that brings down the mark of the beast? And for lack of any other immediate standout options right now, Emmanuel Macron is an interesting character. This is about multiple dimensions, and a mysterious particle could be portal to the fifth dimension and challenges our understanding of physics. Man thinks he knows everything. He doesn't know anything. God is still in control. God has knows everything, obviously. And the key point of this, I think, is that God will stop and punish the world before the world gets too far. Whether it be the world being full of iniquity and evil, and that is a red line for God. This is what the red line was for the flood of Noah, the evil continually being on the hearts and minds of man during that time, and God destroyed them. So he has a red line. Another red line may be technology. Certainly at the Tower of Babel, Genesis 11, 1 through 9, speaks of the Tower of Babel and all the people. It says, now the whole world had one language and a common speech. As people moved eastward, they found a plain in Shinar and settled there. Okay? So all the people of the world are gathering together in a kind of a city. They said to each other, come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly. They used bricks instead of stone, and tar for mortar. So they made stuff with their own hands. They didn't rely on God or stone necessarily, but they made bricks with their own hands. They did this. They didn't trust in God. They did stuff on their own to get them higher to God, and so that they could become God. It says in verse 4, then they said, come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be scattered across the whole face of the earth. And of course, what was God's command? For them to go across the earth and multiply and subdue the land. This is the original commandment for Adam and Eve to multiply. And so God doesn't want us congregating all in the same place, and that's what they were doing. Verse 5, but the Lord came down to see the city and the tower of people were building. The Lord said, if as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible. So God realizes that he made man in his own image. Man is quite smart for earthly beings, obviously, flesh and blood, and we can get to a point apparently not where we threaten God, but where we get to know just a little bit too much information, where it could cause trouble for ourselves, because ultimately God is looking out for us. He doesn't want us to destroy ourselves with technology, etc. And so there comes a point where prior to that destruction, God is going to come and deal with mankind for that iniquity. And this is just one of these examples of man maybe getting towards that red line for God, finding these extra dimensions and kind of fiddling with them, playing with them, not knowing how dangerous they could be. Scientists have made a fascinating discovery that could be the beginning of a new chapter in physics. Researchers have found a mysterious particle that could be a link to a fifth dimension. The fact that humans live in a three-dimensional world doesn't mean there are not more dimensions. Certainly God lives in the heavenly realm, if that is a dimension. On the contrary, just as a snail is only aware of one dimension and just one in one point in time, we humans cannot perceive more dimensions, but the number of extra dimensions can be beyond our comprehension. And God is looking at this, and he's saying, with the colliders, the atom colliders and such, he's looking at this, and his red line is, if they get to the point where they could destroy themselves or hurt themselves or do something, that I did not intend, that's the red line. That's when I'm going to come back and deal with things. So I look at these articles and I say, it's well and good that they found something and found this extra dimension, but how does it relate to God? Does God think this is going to be a danger? And does this quicken the day of the Lord. I think it's something that certainly could. So be prepared. I think all these technology signs and discoveries basically mean that we're getting closer and closer to the return of the Lord, because He's going to say at some point, okay, that's enough. You don't need to figure anything out. You're gonna hurt yourselves if you find anything more out about that, and that wasn't what I intended originally. And so I'm going to come and basically call an end to the years of man on the earth, which are about 6,000. And that 6,000 year period ends in about the year 2028. So you come off that by this 7-year period spoken of in Daniel, and you come up with around the year 2021. So I think near the end of the 2021 could very well be the start of the 7-year period. And the fact that we're seeing COVID and signs and situations which do seem to reflect and do seem to be trigger points and jump off points for the trouble we see with the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, the famine, the wars, the pestilence, the disease, etc. When you see all these things increasing in frequency and intensity like birth pains, know that A, you haven't seen nothing yet, and B, the coming of the Lord is soon. And I think the tribulation, the first 3.5 years, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, is so close to fulfillment. And again, we ain't seen nothing yet. What's going to happen there is going to blow our minds. Men's hearts failing them for fear of things coming upon them. That's what the Bible says. That's what's going to be happening in the tribulation. But before that, these are all warning shots. This is the Lord allowing these things, saying, wake up, pay attention. This stuff is coming. What I said in the Bible is going to come to pass. And you think it's scary now? Get your heart right with the Lord, because it's going to get way scarier when the 7-year period starts and when the tribulation starts. And I believe we won't be here for the great tribulation, which is the wrath of God, but I think we'll be here for some tribulation, and this is just the lead up to it. Thanks for watching, folks. I'll leave it there for today, and God bless. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And if you want to buy me a coffee, you can go to the link at the bottom of the image there, micahgallant.com/support, and buy me a coffee. I appreciate it. Guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.